from secondary school, I got into smoking weed, and then into like selling weed. So from that sort of age, I was just selling drugs and that in school, really, just to make myself some extra money. And then as I got older, I was really into my music, so I used to go do a lot of raving from the age of about 16 years old. Again, selling drugs. I used to sell pills, cocaine, weed. So it used to be kind of crazy sometimes, but I found it exciting, I have to say that. And we did have a lot of good times as well. I had a lot of money, so we used to go out raving continuously, sometimes go out like 4 or 5 times a week. But all through that, I wasn't really happy, because I was actually quite an angry person. I remember my mum always used to say to me, like, always used to tell me that I was just like so angry. And I guess, I know for a fact I was pretty disrespectful around the house as well. So obviously I think she just used to look at me and think, what's going on with him? I think she had a sort of an idea of what was going on in my life, but not to the full extent, I don't think. But yeah, it's kind of dark at times, definitely. Got to a point where one night I was sitting there, me and 2 of my friends have come back from some club, and we was back at our house, and it had been like a really good night, and we had a laugh. Both of my friends left. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, I reckon, and I was sitting there just watching a bit of TV, about to go up to bed, and I was just thinking, I just had this feeling inside of me that I was just so unhappy, which was funny, because at this point, at that moment in time, right there and then, I actually was very happy. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that I'd had a really good evening. But this feeling of like almost like depression, and I thought, why do I feel like this? And obviously I knew about Jesus and I knew about God, and I just started crying, and I was just sitting there in my living room by myself, and I had like tears rolling down my face, and I just began praying to God, which I hadn't done. Like, maybe I prayed to God when something was going, oh God, please help me out with this or that, but I hadn't done for like years. I hadn't prayed to God properly. And I said, basically I was telling God about all these different issues what I had with like how I didn't really used to like myself, I don't think, at all. I didn't used to like the things what I did deep down as well. And all these issues with like pornography, taking drugs, being horrible to people, being horrible to my mum and dad, like relationships, how you treat people and stuff like that. And I was just sort of like pouring my heart out to God, and I was just putting them all before His cross, because I remember someone told me how you should bring all these things that you don't know how to deal with and put them before the cross. So I was just sitting there crying, and I got on my knees and telling God all these different things, obviously, and then and it felt like I'd been there for like about no more than 10-15 minutes. But then when I looked at the clock, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'd been there for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. So it was like really weird. I thought I've been here for like ages. But at the end of the prayer, I sort of said to God, if you've heard me, then give me a sign. Because I've sort of had that feeling before when I was younger, how God didn't listen to your prayers when you spoke to Him or whatever. So then I went to bed, woke up the next day, and again my mum was on my case about this meeting, and a guy called Steve Hill was doing a how do you call, them big evangelistic meetings, doing a big meeting up in Dagenham. And I thought, well, do you know what I mean? I told God to give me a sign, so I thought I've got to give it some sort of chance. You know what I mean? So it got to the evening, I went up to this meeting, and as soon as I got in there, I hated it. It was horrible. We sat down. I was sort of like in the middle of a row, and I remember just looking around, thinking I want to get out of here. But when you got all people around you, you don't really want to make a fuss or whatever. And he started to preach, and he's going, I can't remember not one word what he said like during the whole entire meeting. But I just remember sitting there during it, and I had tears again like coming down my face, and I was shaking. I was sitting there just shaking, thinking I want to get out. And that's what I was thinking, like, constantly. And it got to the point where he gave the altar call, And I don't know why, it's almost like my legs took me without my mind even doing it. But as soon as I got up and I started moving, like I think I was probably one of the first people at the front. And I got down, obviously, in tears again, like crying again before God. And I give my heart that night. And I remember like this preacher like really taking like, spent time talking to me afterwards as well. And it felt like, I don't know, it felt like really special. I felt so different after I gave my life, and it was just like a whole sort of like weight had lifted off my shoulders, and I sort of felt brighter. Steve Hill at the meeting said everything that you've got in your house, which is, do you know what I mean, pornography, drugs and everything, get it out of your house, get it out of your life. And I got on my phone to my friend and said, I've got to bring it all round. I said, I can't have it in my house, I can't have it near me. And he was sort of like, well, like, what are you going about? Why? So like, I've just got to bring it round. So I went around and took all the stuff around there. And I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I said, I'll help you collect the rest of the money, what we was owed, but I can't do, like, I'm not going to sell drugs anymore. And he was like a bit confused, but like it's sort of like weirded out by it as well, thinking, what's wrong with him? And I didn't actually tell him that night what the reasons was. And it wasn't until the next day, and he's still on my case, ringing me saying, like, why have you suddenly decided not to do this and that? And I told him that I'd been to this meeting and that I'd given my life to Jesus. And he knew that my family was Christians, but he was quite like, I don't know, surprised that I'd given my heart to God. So then he said, like, and then I said, well, do you want to come to this meeting? Because it was like a week-long event, I think. And the next night he came, and then he gave his life as well. And it was just amazing, do you know what I mean? We'd come from where we'd been, and all of a sudden we're there talking about Jesus after the meeting. We was all happy, all like hugging each other and that, and we was all like bouncing off each other. Went round our mate's house, we sat there and smoked a joint, talking about God, do you know what I mean? It's a bit contradictory, but we was all like really excited about like what had just happened. Because my life's changed completely, do you know what I mean? There's a reason for me living and a reason for me being on this planet, and there's hope. Whereas before I had no hope. My hope was to be some sort of like drug dealing gang lord, like, do you know what I mean? There's a whole sort of, I don't know, I was living in a fantasy, I think. But my hope now is, do you know what I mean, to see friends who from where I've come from, to see them saved. And I don't know, just to raise my family. I don't know, it's just so exciting. When I look to the future, there's like an excitement there. Whereas before, it was all, I don't know, it was just rubbish. My faith in Jesus, basically I feel like now that these things that I've done in the past, you know what I mean, do you know what I mean, they're forgiven, and that I'm free from a lot of problems and issues what I had before. I know for a fact that I'm free from like a stronghold of like drugs that was on my life, and lies as well. I used to tell loads of lies all the time and whatever. Basically, my faith in Jesus is that I'm free from everything.
Captain, my heart has your love, giving me a hope for tomorrow.